Hey guys, what's up? It's Jules here for WhatCulture.com, and I've got another episode of the most insane things happening in wrestling this week for you. A show that does exactly what it says on the tin in the most annoying way possible. You are welcome. Now, there is a lot of content to get through as per usual, so let's crack on and hit that intro. So let's begin with something that is just so overwhelmingly positive it can barely be contained. I am, of course, speaking about Braun Strowman, the member of the Wyatt family who, when he started, was just some sort of weird, pissy, shitty pants and has now skyrocketed into being one of the most menacing, brutal, and thanks to this week's episode of Raw, funniest wrestlers on TV at the moment. Now, Elias was doing his usual shtick of being one bar away from saying, hey guys, do you want to listen to Wonderwall? When all of a sudden, Braun Strowman came out with a double bass. It is a double bass, coach. You f***ing goofed up when you said it was a bass. He's not f***ing going like Flea out of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Shit band, shit crack. Anyway, Braun appears with his double bass and proceeds to mock the Drifter. And, by the way, I actually do quite like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Not that you care. The segment was pure gold and allowed Braun to show off somebody who doesn't really get showcased much outside of the mixed match tag team thing that's going on, aka himself. Let there please be more of this, please. Oh, and the wicked shot to the back of Elias was pretty choice as well. Our only worry, our slight worry, is that the WWE will see the fans laughing at him and then just turn Braun into a massive moron, but hopefully that won't be the case. He's gone from killing Kane and flipping over cars to this, and somehow it works so well. It was just lovely and insane of the WWE to try something new with their big boy other than breaking big toys. They basically could have just stuck him in his powerlifting wheelhouse like the weird gerbil-faced man he is. But they tried something different, and for that, they should be commended. Can't really be saying that much about the rest of the shows, though. So, turns out for this week, very briefly, you could go to Ric Flair's personal shop online and buy a questionable piece of tat. For $50, you could get a signed contract by the man himself called Woo Compromise, or Woo Compromise, even though it's meant to be like no compromise. And the weird thing is that this contract says that the two people that sign it will ride Space Mountain together and then engage in sexual intercourse. Okay. Now, I'm just going to put this out there. I know it's meant to be a bit of fun. We all know it's just meant to be a bit of fun. But in this day and age, when people are courting sexual advances and it not being reciprocated and all the other sort of shenanigans that goes on around that, I'm looking at the Tumblr and Twitter crowd right now, I'm just saying that stuff doesn't really fly. And no surprise, it was taken down very shortly after it was listed. So clearly they knew that something was wrong as well. But the best thing is the item's description itself was almost aware of how close to the line it was skirting. No party shall be pressured or persuaded into something that they do not want to do, and reserve the right to terminate the contract if need be. This contract has the signed and sealed approval of the nature boy Ric Flair, who has taken many women for a ride on Space Mountain and has the utmost respect for women. I mean, it is effectively monetizing a scandal, Rick, and I'm just going to put it out there. That's our job. That's what we do. We're the vultures, mate. Although, to be fair, you're not really afraid of prostituting yourself, are you, mate? Saw your TNA run. I'm just having a joke at the boy. I like him, really. Come on. You could beat me up. Right, now on to something far less cheery than that. In 1993, Jerry Lawler was indicted on rape and sodomy allegations. I actually didn't know anything about this until I had a chat with Sidgwick about this week's episode. Yeah, when he rattled me awake from the youth hostel that I sleep underneath. Now, the case was dropped because one of the minors in question fabricated some evidence, or fabricated part of her story. Now, this was the accepted truth up until this week, but Deadspin's David Bixenspan has unearthed some new, and if it is true, quite worrying evidence. He claims that neither of the girls involved in this testified at all, meaning that it was impossible for them to fabricate any evidence whatsoever. He also states that case detective at the time, Mike Redmond, implied that the girls didn't want to get Lawler into trouble and dropped the case because of that. Bix and Span then goes on to show the King's letter to the prosecution, which was done so to make them drop the case, and basically assassinates both of the girls' characters. And this letter does so in quite dramatic ways. It accuses their sexual morality. It says that they were smokers, which apparently means that they're not trustworthy. And to top it all off, says that they shouldn't be trusted because one of them slept with a black man. Okay. Now, what you choose to take from this is up to you. I'm not telling you what to think, and I'm not attacking the man with personal venom because it's murky at best. All I say is that you should go and check out the report for yourself because it makes for some very interesting and, like I said, if true, worrying reading. What this does do, however you look at it, is call into question the sort of attitude and actions of the man who annoyingly is one of the best announcers in the WWE. I mean, he's always been a perv. That was his shtick. He's always been a perv, but now you wonder how much of that was a character and how much of that was real. Dunno. Horrible subject, this. Don't like talking about this stuff. But it is an insane thing, and it did happen this week. Brilliant. Anyway, like I said, go to Bix and Span's report to read all of that. I'll put the link in the description below. You are welcome. Now, on to much lighter things. Smackdown sure is a weird and woeful show at times, isn't it? It's always got this weird underdog vibe of being the B show, always being in Raw's shadow. Yet the weird thing is that time and time again, it basically copycats Raw so much that it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're basically just reiterating what we've seen the night before, how are we going to see this as anything other than the B show? And this week was utterly bizarre because we saw a returning Baron Corbin and a fresh from the contract renewal Dolph Ziggler, and neither one of them is being used very well. They've just been chucked into this fatal five-way for Fastlane, and it just screams that WWE is just going, 2018 will be the year of the +1. We're gonna just throw everything in there. 7-man elimination chamber, 5 people here, 2 rings for the NXT takeover. Let's just have a f***ing rumble. Put Stephanie on commentary. It's just f***ing rumble every week. For example, I really just don't get what they're doing with Dolph. They had him as the US title holder, and then he vacated it, and now he's come back for what? For an opportunity to possibly win another title? That just doesn't seem like a fair trade to me. You were a champ, mate. Probably should have stuck at it. And we've got Baron Corbin, who's got the same win-loss ratio as Baron Blade from the fucking video games, coming back, and we're meant to see him as a threat? Come on. Come on. Anyway, aside from all of this and the disgusting graphics package that they still insist on forcing down our throat, SmackDown was just a bit confused. It's like Road Dogg watched Raw and was just kind of like, yeah, we'll have some of that. Let's just do that. Oh, guys, this is easy. We just do that. Guys, I've just cracked the code. Just do that. Guys, that. Road Dogg, are you having a giraffe?
Having a giraffe, mate.
You're having a giraffe, mate. And now we end with something much, much nicer. Basically, 2 examples, one from Raw, one from SmackDown, which just shows that as much like bad stuff is going on in wrestling at the moment, behind the scenes, how terrible it is actually on screen, there's some real humans here, and it shows some real passion and dedication. And I like that. So let's talk about that. Be positive for once. Let's take a page out of Simon Miller's book. Go on, mate. Let's take a page out of your book. In fact, he's going to stay here with me now for the rest of the episode to breach some positivity. At least I'm taller than him, though. Right, so the first one is basically that Kurt Angle was having a go at all the people having a go at his son, Jason Jordan. Definitely his son, by the way. He said, anyone who takes amusement in another superstar's injury should be ashamed of themselves. And you know what? That's really true. These people are putting their bodies on the line every single week for us, and it is easy being a critic. Not gonna lie. It's a very, very nice job I've got. But at the same time, I do respect what they do. I mean, I've even got to give props to people like Shane McMahon. I mean, he does have the worst worked punches in the world, but at the same time, he puts his body on the line, and for that, props to you, mate. And the second one goes to John Cena, who was a real class act at this week's SmackDown. Basically, he saw that there was a disabled fan in the front row. He jumped the barricade, went over to them, gave them one of his armbands, and whispered something nice in their ear. It was a really touching moment, and the best part is it's not out of character. For all the shtick that we give him as being, Big Match John, burying everyone left and right with Triple H's borrowed shovel, he still is a class act. He is a good guy. Unless it turns out that he's not. In which case it's not all right, is it? John Cena is a man who is dedicated to his craft. Maybe not as much at the moment when we can audibly hear him call out stuff, but still, he has a big heart, he's a big John, and now I've got big love for him. He even let Miz kick out of the AA. That's how much he cares. That's how much he cares. And those are the most insane things happening in wrestling this week. Now I'm going to close out the show the only way I know how, by having Simon Miller read out my favourite comment from last week's episode. Let's get this up, shall we? I've always been curious. Is Ewan Jules' legit son? Just going by appearances, Jules must be in his late 20s or early 30s, and I'd say that Ewan is in his early 20s. Math doesn't add up. Or is it WhatCulture's weird family because they've been watching too much wrestling and comics? I don't know what you're on about, mate. What is so unbelievable about the fact that there's just a kid who just happens, he's just in the office and I call him my son. He is as much my son as Jason Jordan is Kurt Angle's. Very. And there we have it. I just want to give some big love to Michael Sidgwick and Phil Chambers for their continued work on the show, and to you for watching. Swing by WhatCulture.com for more news and articles like this every goddamn day. And as always, I've been Jules, you've been awesome, he's been a cardboard Simon Miller, who probably will end up replacing me on this show because you seem to love him all of a sudden loads now, even though you didn't 2 years ago. But that's beside the point. That is beside the point, and I'll speak to you soon. Gonna get into trouble for that one, aren't I?
So, thanks for watching. Please feel free to click on any of these things around my head, or something terrible might happen to the dog. Too sweet me, bro. Traitor. Traitor.